Hello and welcome back to the program. I am once again your host Joe. This week we watched 1957's Sweet Smell of Success. No "the" on the front, just Sweet Smell of Success. Screwed me up a few times. It's on the list because it's from Ben Wheatley's Closet Picks. You may know him as the director of Meg 2: The Trench. Nothing but class in the Criterion Closet. It's a noir drama about the seedy underbelly of Manhattan's newspaper columns. Wait, what? So this is the first appearance on the channel of Tony Curtis. He's fondly remembered for his role in the Flintstones as Stony Curtis. No, he's best known for his role as the titular character in the 1968 real crime thriller The Boston Strangler. He's also the father of Jamie Lee Curtis, who is always entertaining and reminds us to eat yogurt. In this film, he plays Sidney Falco, a press agent, which is a profession that this film would have us believe is the dirtiest job out there. Acts on Broadway give him their money, and he gets them publicity. It doesn't sound like a thrilling lifestyle that you expect from a noir picture, but I guess they do make it work. Also in this film, it's the return of Burt Lancaster to the channel. We last saw him in The Killers, where he played Ole Anderson the Swede. He's had so many big roles under his belt, though, that I'm hesitant to point to any particular one to say this is what he's known for. Birdman of Alcatraz, From Here to Eternity, obviously The Killers, Gunfight at the OK Corral, Buffalo Bill and the Indians. He's got a lot under his belt anyway. In this, he plays the character, I want to make sure I get this right, J.J. Hunsaker, which for the whole film I thought they were saying Hunsucker, and I thought that maybe that's where the Coen brothers had pulled the name Hudsucker from for the Hudsucker proxy. But no, Hunsaker. J.J. Hunsaker is a newspaper columnist. Apparently his newspaper column is very influential, to the point where people are just clamoring to get him to mention their acts, their businesses, anything. If he puts you in his column, apparently business is guaranteed to pick up. And this is where our man Tony Curtis, Falco the press agent, he has an in. He knows the guy, and he's like, hey, I can get you mentioned in his column, and then you'll be successful. So give me some money, and that's his business model. Business apparently not doing too well. He's operating his office out of his apartment, or possibly he's living in his office. Either way, this place ain't zoned for both of these things. He goes into the back, there's his bed and his dresser, and then in the front, there's his secretary. You know, you're not going to get the situation of a noir film classic where, like, you know, the dame walks in and she's all, oh, I'm looking for the detective. Can you help me? Somebody's murdered my husband. And he's sitting behind the desk. No. He'd just be like sitting up in bed or something, because it's right there. Anyway, JJ the newspaper columnist is giving him the brush off. Apparently he hasn't been printing his stuff, and so his clients are all upset, and so he can't make the rent. It's rough times in Manhattan. And it turns out we find out the reason for this is JJ has tasked him with doing something, and the something he's tasked him with doing, he hasn't done. What his job is, JJ has a sister, and his sister has fallen for a guy in a band at one of the local, not speakeasy because this is post-prohibition, but just like a nightclub. There's a jazz band in the nightclub, and there's like, he's either the bassist or the drummer or something. He's in the band, JJ's sister has fallen for him, JJ doesn't care for it, and so he goes to Falco, who he describes as basically a real moral snake, to bust up the relationship by any means necessary.
Mr. Falco, let it be said at once, is a man of 40 faces, not one. None too pretty, and all deceptive. Mr. Falco, whom I did not invite to sit at this table tonight, is a hungry press agent, and fully up to all the tricks of his very slimy trade. Match me, Sidney.
Now, I will say, if you're willing to hire somebody with the mercenary sensibilities to do anything and everything to break up a relationship, you're probably not that far above it yourself. But this being his sister, he wants to be, like, arm's length from it. He doesn't want it to come back to haunt him because he wants a good relationship with his sister. That's the whole impetus here, is that he feels that his sister having this relationship with this guy means that she will be around him less, and so he feels threatened. This is incredibly creepy and almost like helicopter parenty, but he's her brother, so like helicopter sibling? Is that a thing? Falco, of course, is willing to do whatever it takes to get ahead in his line of work, and that includes breaking up this lovely young couple. He decides the best course of action is to spread some muck about this musician, and he does this by going to other columnists, because apparently JJ can't print this stuff himself because obviously that would piss his sister off. He wants to stay in her good graces after all. And it is funny because, like, when we find out what the rumor is, it's like, it just reminds you of the period that this is set in. This is in the 50s, so like the rumor, it's just like, he smokes weed. He's a communist. He's a weed-smoking communist. I hope his girlfriend breaks up with him.
I don't like you, period. But neither do I go along with this column saying you smoke marijuana and belong with the Reds.
Or no, it's to get him fired. And so after he's fired, they're like, okay, now he has no job, so she'll leave him. But that's not what she's with him for. He was just in a band. So Falco's going around to other people in his Rolodex. He's trying extortion, he's trying blackmail, he employs a little sexual payola at one point. Falco is, like he said, a complete amoral guy when it comes to getting this job done.
You're a snake, Falco. You're a louse. A real louse.
And it is funny because, like, does he think that if the guy gets fired from his job and booted from the band, suddenly they're not going to be an item? Like, does he think that Shield is only into him because he's in a band? Clearly that's not the case, because after he gets fired, there's still an item. And to make matters worse, JJ's sister knows that JJ is influential and is like, can you get my guy his job back? Get Steve his job back. And so now JJ has to do this. And then he leans on Falco even harder. He's like, you didn't get the job done. Get the job done, and I'll put your guys in the column again. It's such a weird motivator. Newspaper column. This is the size of it. This is what all this is over. Falco ends up having to get a crooked cop involved and planting evidence on the guy. Like, doing actual crimes here in order to get this fella arrested, in order to break them up. This guy is out here setting up so many tangled webs. Like, this is the very picture of the tangled web we weave. JJ is meddling, Falco is lying on top of blackmail, on top of police brutality and framing people, and everybody gets wrapped up in it, and nobody gets out okay. Although, oddly enough, JJ seems to get away the best. Spoiler alert for a 75-year-old movie. His sister finds out in the end, of course. She's going to. And she walks out of his life. She's like, I'd rather be dead than live with you, and off she goes. Presumably to meet up with the guy again. And Falco, meanwhile, JJ calls the cops and is like, yeah, no, the boyfriend didn't do it. The weed was planted on him by Falco. Let him out of jail. Apparently a newspaper columnist has that kind of reach. Yeah, Falco, at the end of this, it gets the shit beat out of him. By none other than the dirty cop. God, and it's so weird, because this is a film about, like, you have people acting like your typical noir tough guys, but they're fighting over a newspaper column, and that makes this feel like it could be a Mary Worth comic strip. Am I wrong there? It's a very strange thing to be central to the plot of a gritty noir film. Like, just imagine, he's in, like, one of those old 50s cars, and he's just hunched over the wheel with a lit stogie in one hand, and he's just monologuing in his head about how he had to drive uptown to meet up with the fella in order to make sure that a newspaper article printed something about his favorite restaurant. This does not feel noir to me. At least not in motivation, but in setting and execution, absolutely. In fact, his movie had a whole lot of really great genre dialogue. Like, I almost want to call it cliched, but since this is of the era, it's not a cliche if you're the one originating it, basically. And while I don't think I can say that they originated this sort of dialogue, because noir was a thing for, I want to say at least a decade at this point, there were a lot of really great lines in it.
Look, the next time you want any information, don't scratch for it like a dog. Just ask for it like a man.
Match me, Sidney.
JJ,
Say goodbye, Lester. Sidney. Conjugate me a verb, for instance, to promise. You promise to break up that romance. When? My right hand hasn't seen my left hand in 30 years.
I'll do it, JJ. Don't get me wrong. In for a penny, in for a pound. I'll go through with it. But stop beating me on the head. Let me make a living.
What do I do now? Whistle Stars and Stripes forever?
What you do now, Mr. Falco, is crow like a hen. You have just laid an egg.
Don't you think I have any feelings? What am I? A bowl of fruit? A tangerine that peels in a minute?
Dallas, your mouth is as big as a basket and twice as empty.
I'd hate to take a bite out of you. You're a cookie full of arsenic.
I will say, too, one thing that kind of really amused me of this was just the way sometimes they pronounce JJ, like they put the inflection really weird. Like listen to this.
By the way, what's this I hear about JJ giving you the flit gun treatment to shut you out of his column?
It's a real goodie if, like me, you want to clobber JJ. He's got his TV tomorrow. He'd read it before rehearsals. I want to clobber JJ.
Where's JJ?
He isn't here.
Well, I got a message to come over.
Anytime you hear somebody say the name JJ, it comes out like that. JJ, not JJ. Oh, I'm going to go talk to JJ. You know, that's not how it rolls off the tongue. So I don't know if this is something that, like, JJ's nemesis would do, like, because these guys don't care for him. This guy's a rival newspaper columnist. He doesn't like JJ. I also need to give a shout out to the cinematography on this. James Wong Hao, who was Chinese, and this is the thing. I saw this fella's name in the credits and I was like, wait a minute, this is 57. What the heck? Because, like, I knew there was, the Chinese Exclusion Act and, like, rampant racism in the industry, and here we have this fella doing this beautiful cinematography on this. And apparently he was a big deal. He was nominated for 10 Academy Awards for his cinematography, including on the legendary film Algiers, which is not on my list, but probably should be. Yeah, very excellent work. I am glad he was able to overcome all of that stuff that was going on. Like, according to the Wikipedia article, he was excluded from working due to a lot of this stuff. He was discriminated against because he was married to a white woman. His marriage wasn't recognized until almost 1950. Yeah, fucked up, but I'm glad he won. He won 2 Academy Awards. One for The Rose Tattoo, which also had Burt Lancaster in it, and one for Hood in 1963, which had Paul Newman, who you may know from his salad dressing. Now, as always, the question is, would I recommend this film? And I'm pretty sure I have to say yes on this one. I did enjoy it. It was a little bit confusing at first when I didn't realize this guy actually his job was getting things printed in the newspaper by, like, just having an in with the guy who writes the column. That doesn't feel like a job to me. But the film presents it as such like a big thing. Like, he's walking around, people know him, people recognize him. Like, oh, that's Mr. Falco, watch out for him. He's unscrupulous. He's a publishing agent. But no, if you can get around the fact that it's a job that you probably never have even considered being a thing, it's definitely a great watch. Like, they are chewing the scenery, it is well shot. There's a lot going on here that's great. Highly recommend giving it a watch. And hey, speaking of giving things a watch, I know what we're going to watch next week. It's The Hit. We don't have to do a marble race this week. We'll see if I have anything for the outro. If not, thank you for tuning in. I have once again been your host, Joe, and I'll see you next week with The Hit.